Summary of Evans tries an O-level by Colin Dexter. In March, the governor of Oxford Prison calls the secretary of the examinations board and asks if one of his prisoners can take the last O-level German test. James Roderick Evans is a happy congenital kleptomaniac who has gotten out of prison 3 times. The governor of Oxford Prison is eager to make sure that doesn't happen again. The governor and the secretary decide that Evans will take the test in his own cell and that a priest will be the tester. Reverend Stuart McLeary leaves his house in June at 8:45 a.m. to go to Oxford Prison, where he will start a 2-hour exam at 9:15 a.m. When McLeary comes to the prison, Jackson, the top cop, checks his briefcase. The officer is confused by a strange, partly inflated rubber ring that looks like a kid's pool toy. McLeary explains in an annoyed tone that it's a special cushion he sits on because he has a hemorrhoid problem. Jackson feels bad about what happened and apologizes. He then sends the supervisor back to Evans' cell. The test finally starts at 9:25 a.m., after a few more problems. The examinations board calls the governor. The assistant secretary with special responsibility for modern languages says that some fool forgot to put a correction slip in the envelope with the other test materials. The governor wonders if the call is real, but he tells himself he's being silly. Since Evans' cell is bugged, the governor can hear McLeary tell Evans what to do when he makes a mistake. Stevens, on the other hand, looks into Evans' cell through the peephole every few minutes. He is surprised to see Evans with a blanket over his shoulders at one point. Stevens wonders if this is the kind of slight irregularity he should report, but he doesn't because the jail is cold. At 11:20, McLeary tells Evans that they only have 5 minutes left. 2 minutes later, Jackson gets a call from the governor asking for Stevens. Stevens is needed to walk McLeary out of the prison when the test is over. When Stevens walks the man out, he says that the minister's Scottish accent sounds wider than ever and that he looks smaller than before. When McLeary leaves, Stevens goes back to Evans' cell, where he finds McLeary lying on the floor and covered in blood. When things get out of hand, the governor shows up. McLeary weakly hands him the German test. On the last page of the test is a cleverly superimposed, printed sheet that tells Evans how to escape. After having Detective Superintendent Carter take McLeary to the hospital, the governor yells at Stevens for carelessly letting the criminal go free. Stevens stutters that he was just doing what the governor told him to do. The governor screams that he never gave Stephen those directions and that the phone call was a fake. The governor calls the hospital to check on McLeary, but the hospital says they don't have any patients named McLeary. The governor suddenly sees he was wrong. It wasn't Evans, pretending to be McLeary, who had left. It was Evans, pretending to be McLeary, who had stayed in. After 15 minutes, they go to McLeary's apartment and find him bound and tied. Evans goes back to the Golden Lion Hotel after a nice dinner. He thinks about how the fake McLeary wore 2 of everything, 2 clerical shirts, 2 clerical collars, and 2 coats, and how Evans managed to get into his mask under the gray blanket. Evans walks into his room and stops in his tracks when he sees the governor sitting on his bed. Evans starts telling the governor about his plan when he realizes he can't get away. He says that the fake call to Stevens in the last 3 minutes of the test was the most important part because it gave Evans and McLeary time to use the pig's blood that was hidden in McLeary's inflatable rubber ring. Evans is put in handcuffs and put into a jail van by a prison guard who doesn't say a word. Evans asks the governor if he knows any other current languages. He noticed that the prison was teaching O-level Italian in September. The governor says that Evans might not be at Oxford Prison in September, and Evans agrees that the governor might be right. As the van drives away, the governor looks on. When the van gets to the main road, the jail guard quickly takes Evans' handcuffs off and tells the driver, "It won't take him long to find out." The driver asks in a strong Scottish accent where they should make for, and Evans says, "Newbury."
About the author. Colin Dexter, an English crime writer, was born in the town of Stamford, Lincolnshire. Christ's College, Cambridge gave him both his bachelor's and master's degrees in classics. He was a teacher for most of his life, but as his hearing got worse, he had to quit. After writing textbooks for a while, Dexter moved to mysteries and wrote 13 of them. In 1975, he made up the famous Detective Inspector Morse. The Inspector Morse books were soon turned into a TV show, and Dexter often made guest appearances on the show. The Crime Writers Association of Britain gave Dexter 2 silver daggers, 2 golden daggers, and a diamond dagger. In 2000, he was named and made an officer of the Order of the British Empire as a reward. In 1956, he married Dorothy Cooper, and the two of them had a son and a daughter.
Hope we summarized it fully and you liked it. Please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel so that we are motivated to create more videos.